Bruins win last night. David Pastrnak, wee, with a hat trick. Wee, throw your hats on the ice. Wee, throw your Bruins shawl. You see the thing the guy threw on the ice? What was that? What do you call that again?
I don't even know what that was. It looked like someone skinned a bear.
It's like a headdress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ewok.
It's a Bruins headdress, shawl, whatever. Wee! Throw that on the ice. David Pastrnak takes a picture with it. Wee! Pasta for everybody. Wee!
3 servings of pasta.
Okay.
You want a fusilli or a tagliatelle?
At least it wasn't one of those Fugazi empty net.
Yeah,
At
that's
least
true.
it wasn't into an empty net with a 2-goal lead.
Right.
With him throwing him out there stat humping. Okay, David Pastrnak. Big boy, you got to help me with David Pastrnak. David Pastrnak, with that hat trick last night, climbs into 7th all-time on the Bruins goal-scoring list. 7th. He's 27, and he's already in 7th. And this list has so much integrity that I just...
You're bothered by him being this close to the top.
Number 1, Johnny Bucyk, because he played 21 years here in Boston. I don't consider Johnny Bucyk the greatest all-time Bruins scorer. I consider Phil Esposito the greatest all-time Bruins scorer. But Bucyk is first with 545. Second, Esposito. Third, Bergeron. Fourth, Middleton. Fifth, Marchand. Sixth, Bork. Seventh, Pastrnak. Eighth, Neely. That's a list. That's a good list. And Pasternak's right there at 27. He's going to pass Bork next year-ish. He's coming after Marchand in short order. He's going to get to Middleton. He's going to get to Bergeron.
Well, Mike, to put it another way, you said he's 27. Say he retires when Bergeron does, 10 years from now. He's going to be number 1.
He should be. I mean, geez. If he plays another 10 years here, Murray?
Yeah. You said Busyk's 545. If he's at this pace, he'll drop a little bit as he gets into his mid-30s.
Give him an average of 25 goals a year for 10 years. 250.
Yeah.
That gets him, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you can already say at 27, he is one of the great goal scorers in Bruins history. He's one of the elite goal scorers in the National Hockey League. The last 3 seasons, beginning in 2021 to now, last 3 seasons, goal leaders in the NHL. Austin Matthews 1, David Pastrnak 2. The last 5 seasons, if you want, take it back. The last 5 seasons, leaders in goals in the NHL. Austin Matthews 1, Leon Draisaitl 2 with 215, David Pastrnak 3 with 213. He's probably going to catch him. In the last 2 years, the NHL leader in goals from the beginning of last season to now, David Pastrnak 1, Austin Matthews 2. You have one of the great goal scorers in the National Hockey League currently. You have one of the all-time great goal scorers in Boston Bruins history already, and he's just 27. Why don't I like him?
Because he's never won.
Why don't I like him?
Because he's... Go ahead, Greg.
Why don't I believe that they're going to win a cup with them? Or why don't I, when I, this is the thing that we previously, for the last, 20 years when you talk Bruins hockey, the number one call you get is, they need a goal scorer. How are they going to get a scorer? They need a goal scorer. He's going to put they need someone to put the puck in the net, Felger. They need a goal scorer. Well, now they've got like the elite goal scorer in the league. Like one of the top 3 guys at putting the puck in the net in the league currently. And in all times Bruin history, frankly. And why don't I feel like he's going to lead him to a cup?
Because, and I'm just guessing, don't shoot the messenger. My interpretation of what you believe is he doesn't make his teammates better. He's not one of those players. He's more like Ovechkin, and those guys can more of a shooter, goal scorer, and those guys can be limited during the postseason.
And I'll add sloppy with the puck, dumb turnovers. You've railed against that now for going on the last few seasons, and rightfully so. And when it comes to the postseason, more often than not, he's completely disappeared.
So he disappeared for portions of that Florida series last year. He woke up at the end, and it was just a little late. He was zeros across the board. I thought he was garbage in the middle of that Florida series. And if you remember in Game 6, down there, and this is right when it's like, where's Pastrnak? Wake up. Everyone, all the pasta babies out there, the footy pajama Bruins fans, even they got a little agitated with David Pastrnak. And I want to say it was the first period, but early on in that Game 6 in Florida, he put the puck between his legs and scored a goal. That was, I thought, the ballsiest goal of his career. I don't know if you remember the goal or not. And like that's one of the few times I looked at him, I went, oh, okay, here we go. Big night, big game, a lot of pressure. There you are. And he scored 2 goals that night, and they lost. But you wouldn't put it on him. He was a -1 in the game, even though he scored those 2 goals. And then he scored what should have been the go-ahead goal in the third period in Game 7. So he woke up at the end. But there's just been times where he just isn't there in the postseason. Is that because he's a wing and not a center, Greg? Maybe. I don't know what it is. Patrick Kane, it was a wing, right? He's a wing, not a center. I didn't feel that way about Patrick Kane. He showed up in big games, was a factor in them winning Stanley Cups and playoff series. So David Pastrnak, in terms of goal scoring, is Patrick Kane's equal. He's that productive. You could hardly ask for a more productive goal scorer than David Pastrnak. That's it. This is it. He's the guy when it comes to that.
He's incredible. I think that, when you watch Pasta over, the course of seasons and this season, like you worry about the games where he seems to be not focused, that he's not into it, that he's not there. And then he'll have other games where he's completely dialed in, and he's incredible. I mean, I think overall he's just an incredible goal scorer. He deserves to be on that list. But in terms of a top flight, we're relying on this guy, he's going to lead our team to a cup, you worry whether he can do that or not.
Big time. So he's now at 41 goals for the year. He has now hit the 40-goal mark 3 straight times. Neely never did that. The last guy to have a 40-goal season 3 straight years was Middleton. In 1984, I think, was the third of the 3 years. So it's been 40 years since a Bruin has scored like this, that consistently. He's already, he's surpassed Neely as a goal scorer. I mean, just as a pure goal scorer. I mean, of course, obviously, as a hockey player, we would all take Cam Neely 10 times out of 10. As a goal scorer, Pastrnak is already greater than Cam Neely. And yet, I just have this reservation about this player. I've not fully bought into David Pastrnak. I find myself more agitated with him than I am happy with him. That goal he scored in Florida last year in Game 6, that first goal was balls. That was the beans. That's that's one of the few times I'm saying oh, okay, you got me. But I find myself watching David Pastrnak and wanting more than I feel satisfied with him. Is that a me problem? Or is
No, because his game, it's fun. You don't like this. Like, there's not much substance behind it. Really, fun. It's like boobs and lip filler. Like, okay, what else you got? Like, what else can you bring to the table here? He can be a defensive liability. He turns the puck over. He disappears. I'm trying to desperately.
It's all fake boobs and champagne, which I like. Both of them. I like both of those things.
But eventually, you need a little bit more.
But yeah. And eventually, you need a little more. Sometimes you just. Go ahead, Murray. I'm not going to count the analogy.
As we're talking here, because I'm trying to desperately find what his numbers were in that Cup final against the Blues. But I remember he was nothing.
Yeah, no, I got it here. Let's see what he did against St. Louis. 1 goal. 2 goals. 2 goals in the 7-game series. And I want to say he scored in Game 7, but how could that have... They were down. Was it?
Oh, that game was over when it was 2-0.
Exactly.
Please. So that was trash if he scored in that game.
I have to go back and. Oh no! I'm looking at it backwards. So he scored in Game 1, and he scored in Game whatever that is 5. In Game 7, 0-0-0 -2. Okay, there you go. Unless I'm looking at that backwards. I think I'm looking at that backwards.
No, if I remember correctly, he was part of the problem too.
No, yeah, no. Game 7.
Game
7, 0-0-0 -2. Yes, that's it. Sorry about that. Yes. So, and then. Yeah, I mean, what can I tell you? I don't go into a big game with David Pastrnak and say he's gonna carry. I never feel that way. So again, is that my problem or is that his problem or is that whose problem is that? It's usually my problem. You can tell me that. 617-779-0985. One more thing. Did you watch Linus Ullmark last night, Greg?
I thought he was awesome.
Thoughts?
What they're doing at the goaltender spot is. Obviously, interesting, and I've heard you rail against it and the goalie platoon and all that stuff. I just think you have to go with the hot hand. I cannot see them after a game like tonight going back to Swayman in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. You have to ride the hot guy. If if exhaustion becomes part of the equation for them during the series because of the workload, because they haven't had it during the regular season, okay. I'm not going to overdo it, especially with a guy who ended up – didn't Omar get hurt last playoff series?
Sure did.
And
he kept playing.
That cannot happen again. Just like with Tuukka at the end. It can't happen. So they're going to have to monitor these guys, but you can't just eliminate the hot hand. You can't just say you're going to do the platoon.
He's clearly better than Swayman right now and has been in post-All-Star break. Get to the postseason, do I trust him? No, because there's some raskiness we saw there with him last year.
Fake win. Fake last night. Don't buy it. Come on. The Ottawa Senators.
They've been outscored 7-0 in the third period their last two games.
Who's that?
Senators. They're trash.
I think they're in last place. If not, they're second. It's them in Columbus or whatever. They're down there. They blow.
And I didn't think the Bruins played particularly well in the first couple of periods of this game. They were like a little kid playing with their food.
No. Allmark kept him in it.
Yeah.
The second period for sure. Like he was on his head. He was great.
5-on-3 they had at one point.
Allmark was terrific. Ottawa in mid-March. You going to buy that? Like, oh, he's playoff ready. Here comes Allmark. You're really going to take that banana in the tailpipe? Like, come on. Like, we've been here before, haven't we? Act like you've been there before. You're going to take the cheese on Linus Allmark? A mid-March game against Ottawa? Come on, please.
So according to the schedule, and they have a back-to-back coming up, but you got the Rangers tomorrow, Saturday Flyers. They're trash. Then the Panthers and Lightning back-to-back.
Oh, they're going to split those two?
So Swayman will go against the Rangers. Allmark will go against the Flyers, and then Swayman again against the I'd like to see Allmark go.
Well, I mean,
Flyers.
right now, so look, I mean,
test him.
Swayman has given up 10 goals in his last two games. You can't play that in the playoffs. You can't have a guy giving up. See, this is what I say about the platoon. It's like, oh, the guy gave up 5 goals each of his last 2 games, but it's his turn. You're going to play him? No, you're not. No, you're not. Like, don't give me that. And again, this is when I get a little nutty. It's like, no, but you promised me a platoon, so God dang it, we're going to have a platoon, whether you like it or not. 5 goals a game, that guy's in there because you said we're doing a platoon. Like, this is where I get nuts and get like a little maniacal about the thing. But now I'm talking like a human being. If your goalie's giving up 5 goals a night, you can't play him in the postseason. So it's just another example of how the platoon thing's kind of impractical.